Hi, I'm Anthony from Learning to Play the Guitar. In this video I'm going to show you how to play fingerpicking guitar. There are two main ways to play the guitar, either with the guitar pick or with your fingers. So if you're playing with your fingers it's called fingerpicking or fingerstyle guitar. Many beginners will tend to strum chords with just their thumb to avoid using the guitar pick. However, there is much more to correct fingerpicking technique than just this. It can actually be more difficult to learn fingerpicking because you have to coordinate your thumb and your four fingers over here versus just using the single guitar pick. Fingerpicking technique comes from Spanish flamenco and classical guitar playing, where the tips and sometimes the nails of the thumb and the four fingers are used to pluck the strings. So there are actual names for the thumb and the four fingers on the plucking hand in Spanish, and it's used as a convention when you're practicing fingerpicking. And it is, for the thumb, it's pulgar, indio for your index, medio for the middle finger, anular for the ring finger, and chiquita for the fifth finger or your little finger, or fifth finger from your thumb. Anyway, so it results with P, I, M, A, and C. Most of the time with fingerpicking you don't really use the little finger very much unless you're doing a lot more classical guitar in certain styles and flamenco as well. But for most sort of pop, rock, folk sort of picking, country and things like that, you'll generally find you're using just the P, I, M, A fingers. So here we're going to do some exercises developing the placement and the technique of using these fingers. So the placement of the fingers plucking the strings is very important to get a nice smooth fingerpicking technique. So what I've got here is my thumb, which will basically be pointing out sideways, resting on the bass string. Usually it will be dealing with the 6th, 5th and 4th strings, or the E, A and D strings, acting as your bass player. While the other fingers will each have their own role assigned. So and the idea of this, you can see I'm doing what's called the claw. So I've sort of got the old thumb up sort of fist shape there, and of the thumb pointing out sideways, as I said before, but each finger is sort of plucking from underneath, which you should be able to see from that angle. That idea there. So I'm thumb, index, middle and ring. So we're not sort of plucking like that because it's very hard to be accurate, and it gets very messy and your fingers are a long way away each time they have to come back to pluck a string. So if we're in this position, they're a lot closer and you can get a lot more of a smooth movement. So it's just P, I, M, A, just on E, A, D, G, or 6, 5, 4, 3 strings. Even just doing those simple exercises, keeping that hand in that position. I'm just going to play an E minor chord here, which is just the two fingers there. Simple 2-finger E minor chord. And we're going to now pluck our way to the E minor chord. Plucking the thumb, we'll pluck the bass note here, and the other 3 fingers will deal with the G, B and E strings down the bottom. So P, I, M, A. Even just doing that at the very start. And the next step we're going to do here is move the thumb across the E, A and D strings each time to create a movement in the bass, just on E minor. So we end up with this sort of pattern. So I'll do it one more time so you can sort of hear that bass moving as the thumb's moving across, while the other guys are staying here on their strings doing their jobs down the bottom or in the treble strings. So you're trying to create a smooth flow between the strings and the picking, and so make sure everyone's at the same volume, we're not getting stuck or we're not missing strings and things like that. So nice and simple. So that's exercise number 1. The next one is a bit more melodic, where we're going to play 4 different chords as I roll back just to show you what the chords are. So the first chord is going to be a 1-finger version of G, because we're only going to be plucking 1, 2, 3, 4 strings as we go through. The other chord is E minor with the 2nd finger there. The next chord is C/E, with C with E in the bass, which really just means it's a 2-finger version of C, 4 strings again. And then D7, which is the backwards triangle D, same 4 strings. So with this in mind, I'm going to show you this little pattern here, which is the thumb, index, middle and ring fingers is doing 4 strings in a row there, so P, I, M, A. And the pattern sounds like this. And on a thumb strum G if you like. So it's a very pretty sort of 50s sort of ballad style of finger picking guitar there. So the last example I'll show you is sort of an example similar to Stairway to Heaven, the intro to Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, which is also a finger picking exercise, which is good to look into, is the idea of we're going to be plucking the surrounding strings or the outside strings. So at the same time, so again the thumb, index, middle ring, just on 4 strings in a row, so P, I, M, A on the strings, 4, 3, 2, 1, and what I'm doing here, I'm just playing the chord shapes in this little exercise. A G, just a bit of a G bar.